Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a deep dive into the timeline of all of the drama surrounding a YouTuber named Blair, whose name is iilluminaughtii on YouTube. But before we get into it, I just want to give a really quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is Temu. Temu is a website that sells absolutely anything you can think of under the sun for really affordable prices. They have a site-wide sale right now. Everything's up to 90% off. I moved into my apartment in like September and I haven't even gotten all the things that I wanted to because I've not been prioritizing my spending correctly. But now with Temu, because everything is so affordable, I've finally been able to catch up with some of my necessary purchases, very necessary purchases. Like I bought this like kitchen utensil set, and these are really good quality, you guys. They are BPA free, they're FDA approved, and they're just so pretty. Like imagine these on my counter. That's so cute. I've been wanting like a shaker bottle, and I've just been putting that purchase off. I've got like a freaking air conditioner fan because my apartment doesn't have air conditioning, and it's fine. I live in Canada, but like for the 2 months that it's really needed, this is handy. You can like put water in it. And now onto my favorite purchase is these like airtight containers. I've been wanting these forever because I've wanted my like pantry to be like all cute and clean. At Temu, they're only like $5 to $7 and they're like pretty good quality for now. Everything is free shipping. There's free returns for up to 90 days. It's great. If you use the link down below to download the app, you're going to get up to $100 of coupons, or you can use my coupon code on the app. It's a no-brainer. It's an amazing website. I would highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching. On to the video. iilluminaughtii is a video essay channel that started out with Reddit reaction videos, but has evolved into an essay deep dive channel that typically discusses multi-level marketing schemes, shady business practices, and charity scams. Since her beginning, she has gained over 200 million views, so it's safe to say that Blair is usually seen as being on the exposing side of justice. Now, ironically, what we're here to talk about is Blair herself getting called out for a lot, including mistreating her employees by running an alt account to talk about them, leaking private information for her benefit, paying people to dig up dirt on her competitors and past colleagues, withholding pay from employees, as well as just lying straight up to her audience. So let's get into the tea. This all started when iilluminaughtii herself called out another creator, Legal Eagle's editors on Twitter for stealing her content. Legal Eagle is a YouTuber who mainly covers information about the legal system and makes it easier for everyday people to understand. In a now deleted tweet, she says, "Not Legal Eagle editors broaching my editors to take my video style, and when they didn't give the info, they literally copied it." And she attached the screenshot from one of the editors of Legal Eagle's team saying, "I work as an editor for Legal Eagle and I was wondering if there was some After Effects plugin you guys used for things like the intro to the first NFL video where the lighter colors appear to stick out in 3D. We would recreate it, but we figured that there was probably a faster method that you guys were using." Legal Eagle did respond saying, "Hey Blair, I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team was trying to copy you." Now, the drama could have ended here, but this incident started bringing up controversies from her past. First off, she was accused of plagiarism herself. A YouTuber named H Bomber Guy tweeted a video comparing Blair's video about a man named Brian Deere. He noticed the script she had was exactly like a documentary about him, word for word, and tweeted, "Personally, at iilluminaughtii, I would define plagiarism as something a bit more specific. For example, copying someone else's documentary directly into your script."
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Blair goes on to address this, which we will talk about later in the video. Now, as this controversy was coming to light, one of the ex-members of a group Blair was a part of called The Click came out with a 16-tweet thread exposing her bad behavior. They were all part of a group called Sad Milk. Sad Milk was a collaborative YouTube channel created in 2019 focused on reactions to online posts and forums and memes with 8 members, including Oz Media, iilluminaughtii, and Wonderstruck Guy, among other popular reaction streamers. In this thread, The Click goes on to clarify he is not affiliated with iilluminaughtii and has not been for over 2 years. He says that he left the group due to some of the trails that she's currently showing, namely paranoia, poor anger management, and lashing out at friends and fans. He explains in the last meeting he had with her that she lashed out at him and talked down on his character. He then goes on to clarify why he left the group Sad Milk, as fans were led to believe that it was because of a video that leaked of him saying some inappropriate jokes years ago when he made his channel. The Click says there was a, quote, convenient digging up of these videos that he has apologized and owned up to, but Blair would continue to harp on it and claiming his apology was a bad one. He assumes in an attempt to make it seem that he got kicked out for bad behavior. One day later, another former Sad Milk member, Wonderstruck, came out with his own perspective on working with Blair, implying she was both mentally and emotionally abusive to him and would even withhold payments from him when he lived with her. These late payment accusations were also made by Wonderstruck in a tweet reading, "Thank you, and it took me more than a half a month to even get paid." Now, after seeing this thread, Blair responded with a video titled "iilluminaughtii Exposed," in which she says she will explain and address all the drama that has been discussed about her. In the timestamps, you can see that she specifically addresses one topic: The Click, Wonderstruck, and Oz Media. She starts off her video by apologizing to Legal Eagle, the YouTuber that she had previously accused of copying her video.
Truthfully, I should have looked into this more instead of just putting the information out there the second I had a gut reaction about it. I should have asked him what the emails were about, but I didn't, and I made a mistake, and plain and simple, I was wrong. So to Legal Eagle and team, I just want to reiterate that I messed up, and I'm sorry for any stress this may have caused you, and of course to your team.
And next, she addresses the accusation that she copied that documentary and the plagiarism claims. She says that she defines plagiarism as to take someone's idea as their own or to not credit the source. And because she put quotation marks as well as wrote here that it was a lawsuit with FDA in 1989, she, however, put the documentary as a sourcing page and says that she didn't try to take credit for anything. She also noted that this series was posted 3 years ago, and since then she has learned how to be more careful with cited text in her videos. Next, she goes on to address them individually. She starts off by apologizing to one topic because in a call they had to discuss the channel's issues, she was quoted saying, "Can you shut up and let me talk for once?" out of frustration that he spoke over her. This was the call that The Click was referring to. Next, she started talking about Click. During Sad Milk's creation in 2019, the both of them were shared moderators. One day, his moderators brought a situation to Blair's attention happening on his server. One of their Discord members, a 19-year-old teenage boy, was bragging about being involved with a 12-year-old minor, and they were able to use his ID number to ban them from the Sad Milk server as well as the Clicks, and reported the individual to Discord's trust and safety team. This is what Blair says about this.
When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him and I called one topic, who was and still is to my understanding one of the Click's closest friends on social media. I got into a call with both of them and I shared these files with them, and one topic opened the files, he was horrified, and he said, and I quote, "I've read one and I don't want access to those screenshots." It was after this conversation that Click took action and reported and removed that individual from his server.
Blair claims Click frequently used inappropriate, derogatory language and slurs that made both her and Oz Media uncomfortable, and he created and facilitated the environments that allowed posts for P-words to comfortably exist on his Discord server. She outlines that she's not accusing him of being a P-word himself, but he contributed to creating that environment for it to happen. Click had this to say on the topic. In his Twitter thread, he said, "Yes, we had a random creep in the VC. A couple of mods failed to act in a timely manner. They are not on the team anymore. But the claim I did not respond to it is technically true because it was 3 a.m. in my time zone. By the time I woke up, the individual was already banned." Click then addressed this topic 4 days later in a response video to iilluminaughtii. He furthered his claim that he was asleep when the Discord chat user made those remarks and rejects Blair's claim that he used slurs and derogatory language in casual conversation. He then accused her of starting a smear campaign against him, using several accounts to defame his name after he chose to leave Sad Milk. She then says,
Click, I hope you have learned to not tolerate such behavior in your server. I hope that you have learned from this and that you'll continue to strive to do better. I truly regret ever being friends with you. And I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this.
Well, the feeling seems mutual as the members of Sad Milk addressed this on Twitter. In particular, Ozmedia had this to say on Blair. He said, "Blair, I'm sorry, but you have hurt me. I need to speak. I want to be heard for once. When looking at the whole of the project, it was mostly controlled and run by Blair. This led to a defensive approach when anyone would attempt to assist with the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, despite her claiming that no one wanted to help her. Blair was indeed the aggressor. She always has been. As an example of this behavior, look at the Legal Eagle situation. Blair has the habit of starting fights." He then goes on to say that Blair would block people on Twitter, silencing people who disagreed with her through filing claims for their YouTube channels to get banned, deleting comments, and putting her accounts on the down low to avoid interaction during controversy. He says, for example, on Sad Milk, she would blacklist former collaborators from being mentioned, but manually approve hateful comments towards them. One Topic had this to say on a Twitter thread on this situation prior to Blair's video. He said, "I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. The whole project was a mess, from start to finish. I really wish I didn't need to do this. Blair, I'm so sorry, but you have hurt me." I'm not sure what the initial tipping point was, but likely a combination of no one having enough time for everything, time zones, and conflicting schedules, but we have all started to rub one another the wrong way. It was becoming unhealthy for us behind the scenes, and you could see how drained we were. To say it was negatively affecting my mental health would be an understatement. He then goes on to say that the three of them, Salty, himself, and the clique, decided to go once they saw how far gone the project was and opted to go separate ways without going public with it. He then says, "We didn't learn about the rumors and stories that were told about us until a short time later. Hurt. Who we thought of as friends were maliciously spreading falsehoods about us to justify how a project we walked away from was better off without us. We stayed silent, even privately, just tried to do damage control quietly while unnecessary theories spun. Every few months for the next years, we would hear another worse rumor and we'd work to do damage control all over again." He talks about how emotionally and mentally overwhelming that whole experience was. And next, Blair spends quite a lot of time addressing Wonderstruck. When talking about Wonder, Blair begins by addressing his tweets where he said, "I'm aware of the bridges I burned and I remain where I am. After Sad Milk split, it was a constant negative echo chamber that I took part in." In those tweets, he would talk about how he would make drafts, editor tutorials for new hires, and claims to have been worked during Christmas fixing a mistake for an editor that Blair herself hired. He then goes on to address the accusations from the clique and One Topic about Blair talking about people behind their backs, saying, "After months of behind-the-scenes insults towards clique and OT, it became so stale and negative. Day after day, Blair would sit and check Click and OT's social blade. She would make fake accounts to stalk them, not just them, but a large portion of the commentary community. I've personally seen her try to get a lawyer to shut down anyone who says anything against her, and they ruined her day by saying, yeah, we can't really do anything. And like everyone else, I got shut out, trash talked, and the people I had made efforts to be friends with wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. He then goes on to talk about his experience living with Blair, describing it as being trapped in a nightmare. He attached photos depicting a messy, unhygienic room in her house, saying that she lived like an actual monster and a hoarder. His therapist then suggested that he leave the house and environment, and so he did. He goes on to say, and the details I can't get into further due to legalities, but I ended up with no car, hardly any clothes, and money to my name, and no home. All because I made friends with one of the most vile people on the platform. Nobody wanted to talk with me, and I was too afraid to fully go public as I didn't know the reach this massive creator had. And I had everything in real life and online taken from me. She personally threw my YouTube play button in the trash. If that isn't symbolic, man, I don't know what is.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Blair addresses all of these accusations in her video. She begins by saying, when it comes to discussing Wonderstruck, his actions are some of the most confusing I've had to deal with. I'm going to address his concerns, though it's very tricky since he hinges his accusation on anecdotal commentary. In responding to his baseless claims, I will provide evidence as necessary. Blair then goes on to talk about his Twitter thread, first talking about his employment for her and his accusation of wage theft. She explains that they were paid as contractors and not full-time employees, as different members were in different countries and were left to respectively deal with taxes in their own countries. During December 2020, as all of the other members were, Wonder was considered a contractor as well. Now, remember how Wonder mentioned in his Twitter thread that he worked during Christmas? Blair goes on to attach a screenshot from December 24th, 2020, where she claims Wonder reached out to her saying that he reworked a video from one of the editors that she hired out of his own accord. She responded by saying his version of the edits was to go live at 1 p.m. that same day, and thank you. She says,
I don't want to claim to know what goes on in Wonder's personal life, but claiming that he missed Christmas with his brother and father, I just don't know how that's possible when the video was finalized early morning on Christmas Eve.
She then thanks Wonder again for having edited that video. She addresses his claims that he didn't get paid for over half a month and says that Sad Milk has a bi-weekly payment system, meaning they get paid every 2 weeks. She says that that's how she continues to operate for any contracted employees. Now, this next part is where things get very personal. Although Blair started out by saying that she didn't want to comment on Wonder's personal life, she goes on to say that she recalls during 2020 and 2021 times when Wonder would reach out to herself and Oz Media and complain about how living in Austin, Texas was a nightmare for him. He was surrounded by unmotivated and terrible people with a car that was constantly breaking down. His channel was not going the direction that he wanted, and the last bit of family that he had left had moved away. It was just a very hard time feeling alone, depressed, and uncertain of the future. She said she felt deeply saddened by what she heard and wanted to help him in whatever way that she could. At the end of 2020, Blair paid for a flight for Wonder to visit herself and Oz Media in Oz's newly purchased home. During that trip, they discussed the possibility of Wonder moving in with the two of them in Colorado. Although they themselves had just moved into their house, Oz welcomed him into their home. So, Oz even picked up Wonder and his dog from Austin. She then talks about how, during this period of time, she felt that she had just become comfortable with her channel, and with that stability, she went on to hire Wonder as a salaried employee as an editor to be paid at $50,000 a year with several benefits. His main responsibility was to clip her live streams to post on an alternative channel. Blair claims that at the time she only had 2 live streams and he would have been able to make 4 videos from that, which he did not. Now, she addresses the parts of Wonder's tweets where he says that he cannot address the legalities of their situation and goes on to explain what those legalities are. She explains this situation as the biggest mistake of her life and something that she looks back on with regret. So what happened? After hearing about Wonder's distress, Oz Media and Blair took out a $42,000 loan in order to purchase a car on Wonder's behalf, in which he would enter a rent-to-own contract to pay them back. Wonder would then have to make a monthly deposit to pay Blair back for the value of the loan. They also agreed that Blair would pay any maintenance fees or service fees for the car as the renter and forfeits all the payments that her and Oz would make on the vehicle. She says Wonder made several defaults on their contract, including not getting the car insurance and leaving the state of Colorado to go to Texas. She talks about finding personal belongings, including dirty clothes in the vehicle as well as trash. She talks about the broken glove box and a crack along the windshield. Afterward, she thanks Oz for his help in the situation and thanks him for his support. After this, Blair dedicates an entire portion of the video to discuss Wonder's mental health after this whole car ordeal. And I would just like to give a trigger warning because there are discussions of unaliving yourself. Now, a majority of fans took issue with this specific part of the video because, as you remember earlier, Blair says that she will not speak on Wonder's personal life, but what she does next contradicts that. Blair shows several screenshots where Wonder was venting to Blair, a friend at the time, who was saying after being treated like an emotional punching bag, among other things, he had had enough and was having thoughts of shooting himself with his father's gun. A concerned Blair would then call the police to perform a wellness check. However, luckily he had received a phone call from his therapist and he felt calmed by this. Next, Blair goes on tangent about how this was her therapist first and implies that Wonder stole her therapist? Y'all, anyway. Oz Media, who was the third friend present in all of this, hopped on a video with Wonder and talked about the situation. Unfortunately, as a result of Blair exposing these messages, Wonder ended up having to explain to the whole internet his mental health struggles and struggles with depression throughout his life, saying that it was not Blair's story to tell. Wonder then defended the clique, insinuating that she didn't have evidence that his Discord was a breeding ground for inappropriate behavior and that the clique did not use derogatory language at all. He then showed alleged evidence of Blair delaying his payments and saying that despite him wanting to, Blair never gave Wonder any work to do to begin with. The two of them explained that Blair fired him before the deadline for his first video and he was never given details on which part of the contracts he violated. Wonder says he was threatened by legal actions by one of Blair's managers if he spoke out, which is why he has not. He claims he was completely blindsided by the repossession of the car and was frightened when the police came to take it. He also notes that although he did not work on Christmas, as a result of working all of Christmas Eve, he then missed Christmas Day because he was sleeping. Now, in one last final attempt, iilluminaughtii replies to the clique and Wonder's video. She writes, "Hey everyone, I am fully aware of the recent false allegations that have surfaced. I want to take a moment to publicly state that I am taking these allegations seriously and I am committed to rectifying this situation promptly and appropriately. I will not allow these false allegations to be weaponized as a way to silence my voice." The most liked comment under it reads, "This is the most dramatic way of saying nothing at all that I've ever witnessed," reflecting a majority of her fans' attitudes in the comments. Since all of this drama, Blair is consistently losing subscribers every single day, bleeding at least 20,000 weekly and almost 100,000 subscribers in the last month. She was dropped from her biggest sponsor, HelloFresh. The most recent updates include Wonder and Oz Media receiving a cease and desist from Blair, demanding public apologies from them both. Anyway, guys, that is all the current updates to do with the iilluminaughtii situation. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this timeline. Listen, they say don't throw rocks from glass houses, so how do you guys think this will go down? Feel free to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any tea spills from us. And for now, here is my bleach.